This show is a part of Pop Americana. For more great shows like this one, please check the link in the episode description. Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again.
Am I wrong? Okay. This progress is a part of Christian Geek Central Network. Wrong.
Hey, Scoop, what are you doing, man?
I don't know. I'm supposed to be reading an ad.
All right, hold on. Give me it.
Okay.
All right, this podcast is part of the Christian Geek Central Network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast.
Reactions.
Joining me today is a man who's just got to get that bone. Jacob.
Where's one? Come on, where's that?
Why, thank you. I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man who, well, let's be frank, it's the cat's fault all the time. Welcome, Drew.
Actually, I'd blame the mouse. But anyway, how are you doing, Jacob?
Famished. Let's just say that.
Famished? Earlier you were saying you were stuffed.
I feel like a stuffed elephant. Let's be frank.
All right. So in case y'all are wondering what we're talking about, we are doing a reaction today to the movie Tom and Jerry that just came out this last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We unfortunately did not get to talk about what we were hoping for or what our expectations were going into the movie because of timing in this instance. We are about to jump in our spoiler-free section, so if y'all are ready to do it, let's do it.
Alrighty.
I think the nicest thing I can say about this movie is that it's... Oh, no, not the nicest. The fairest thing I can say about this movie is that it's okay.
Okay. Okay, then.
I mean, there's some things it does good. There's some things that it doesn't do good. If you got kids, I'm sure they're going to enjoy this, but... This, as a movie that is very obviously taking some inspiration in movie making from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, more so than some of the more modern 2D, 2D live action movies. There's some things it does really well on that front. Some things it doesn't do very well on that front. What are your thoughts?
Oh, gosh. Well, I could say this, be like, the movie has so many plot threads through it going on. They finish those plot threads. Mm-hmm. They give a solid conclusion to those plot threads. And for honestly, like, watching the film, I'm thinking like, okay, they're going to drop this. They're going to forget about this plot thread. No, they continue through it.
Yeah.
And just props for like completing your story.
Completing all your little stories.
Yeah, completing all of them, which was surprising. Like, you have a nice little bow at the very end of all of your story points. It's fun. It's a fun little movie. It made me laugh quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Definitely Jerry getting his comeuppance. There we go.
Times.
Yeah, quite a few. Great homages to the Tom and Jerry universe. Mm-hmm. The big dog.
One other little Hanna Barbera character that shows up twice in the movie.
Yes. Going down.
You know what they say. This is a horrible droopy impression.
Yeah, just like there's so many little homages. What was there was one joke at the very beginning where it's
well, let's not spoil any of the jokes if we can help it. But...
No, yeah, let's not go there yet. But yeah, I misspoke earlier. Tom getting his comeuppance. Thank you. Because Jerry's the mouse and he gets away with everything.
Well, a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. And Yeah, it was fun. Be like if you want to go watch this movie with your kids, and it's a fun little film. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not sitting here wanting my $7 back for my matinee pricing.
Right.
But I mean, there is parts. I am disappointed by parts of the movie, I will say, just because it's not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
I will say this is not much of a spoiler, but they do take the modern family-friendly movie trope of having everyone who is a human being incredibly two-dimensional.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's my biggest issue with it.
Agreed.
Is that almost the live action characters seem flatter than the cartoon characters.
I'll agree with you on that.
That's the nicest way I can put that without spoiling anything. But we'll get more into that on the spoiler-free side when I can open up.
Yeah. Overall, it's kind of a film for me.
Yeah.
It's, there again, middle of the road. If you're a kid, if you're a young child, you're going to enjoy it because it's a lot of plot rolls. It's funny. It's got a lot of humor in it. And it's an enjoyable film if you're a kid. An adult, you might find some of the more, you're going to find a lot of the callbacks, a lot of the callbacks and a lot of the recurring characters from the Tom and Jerry world. Very funny to see and very humorous to see. Yeah, that's all I gotta say in the spoiler-free section.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of the spoiler-free section, I believe. So join us on the other side of the bumper, and we will get to spoiling Tom and Jerry. The following is a spoiler-filled reaction to the movie Tom and Jerry. Listener discretion is advised. So I want to start off with some of the positive things about the movie. Biggest positive for me is the fact that the slapstick between Tom and Jerry is spot on.
Agreed.
This is some of the best. They've got the feel of the old cartoons between the interactions between Tom and Jerry down pat.
Oh yeah,
both from the slapstick, Tom chasing Jerry all around, to even the parts where Jerry is being more friendly with Tom.
Yeah.
Even this bringing in, I keep wanting to call him Butch, but that's one of the cats. Spike. He's probably the weaker of the three, but his interactions, at least with the physical interactions with Tom and Jerry, seem to be right there. Right where they're supposed to be. The comedy in these sections, the slapstick comedy, I think is right where it's supposed to be. It is very reminiscent. It is not what I was afraid we were going to get. Because I was afraid we were going to get Tom and Jerry the movie from the 90s.
Yeah.
Which is not good at all. That's one we're going to have to do if we ever do Bad Movie Month.
Yeah. I do have to say here,
yeah.
I had someone telling me the entire week coming up to this review, someone I work with was telling me oh, they talk the entire time just to bother me.
Thankfully, Tom and Jerry never talk.
Yeah.
The closest you get is a lip syncing scene with Tom while he's on the piano. And I did hear one of the classic Tom yells in the background of the scene.
Yes, you did.
But that's about it.
Yeah, so just a shout out to Patrick, they didn't talk.
Well, Tom and Jerry didn't talk.
Tom and Jerry didn't talk.
More on my opinions on other talking animals in this film in a couple minutes. But, yeah, that part was good. I would love to know how they did the Jerry moving the hole scene. That shot, because that's a classic Tom and Jerry trope. Yeah. And they do it without it looking fake, which is amazing in and of itself, because those close-up shots of the door looked like it was built into the set.
Yeah.
This looks like when he does the move to make Tom run into the wall instead of into his hole, that actually looked pretty good for what it was. And the other thing I think this movie does good is the physical interactions between the cartooned characters and the live action characters, I actually think are done very well. I haven't really seen this good in one of these kind of things, I think, since Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I would agree. In some cases, yeah.
Because in a lot of cases, when you have these 2D, animated live action combo hybrid films, they almost go out of their way to make sure that the animated characters and animated elements and the human characters and elements, our live action ones, never really interact that much.
Yeah.
They almost go out of their way. This one, they don't. I mean, there's plenty of stuff where they had to make the live action stuff act like it would in a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's plenty of times where, I mean, well, for instance, for a long portion of this movie, when Tom's working at the hotel,
yeah,
he's wearing the little hat and the name tag. And much like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you know, when they filmed it, that stuff they had to have that stuff float in midair or have, I don't know, some sort of animatronic thing to hold those elements.
Yeah, or puppeteers or something like that.
Or puppeteers to animate the characters around those movements. I suspect what they had to have done was film, much like Roger Rabbit, film all the live action stuff first,
mm-hmm.
then go back and do the cartoon elements. And they actually do a very good job with it.
They do.
That's what's amazing about it. And the live action cartoony-esque elements where that actually handles it. It looks like the cartoon, but in a live action setting. Does. They do a good job with that, I think.
Yeah, the like you said, the animation in it is very well done. It does have that reminiscent of, you know, the old Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
It has the slapstick. It has the brutality humor, I'm going to call it.
It's amazing how they did. So that's the thing when you look back at that bad Tom and Jerry movie, they tried to tone it down, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Here it's not, you know, a hit a minute like the cartoons were,
mm-hmm.
but for the most part, when they actually do it, they're going full tilt.
Oh yeah,
they matched the line work amazingly well, which is good which is amazing because this is the characters are all 3D.
Yeah,
and they look like their 2D counterparts. They weren't
do.
Horribly redesigned. Now you can tell when you're looking at it that the shading around Tom and Jerry and the way they've got the stuff on there that it's 3-dimensional objects that are designed to look like animated character, the 2D animated characters. But after a couple minutes into the film, that becomes so natural, you kind of forget that it's there.
Yeah, it just kind of just naturally flows together.
It's a little jarring at the beginning, but
yeah, you used to it
because of a certain character I'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But anyway, you already know who I'm talking about.
I think so.
But anyway.
But just there again, it's a fun little film. It has all these just, I'm going to keep repeating myself, all these great nuances to, you know, the Tom and Jerry universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a joy to watch. Definitely when you Droopy Dog's in there.
In 2 very dark cameos.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the first time he's is a background image where he's the Joker.
Yes,
in that Joker-esque top makeup, and you're going, that's funny. And then when he's
in the dog pound,
in the pound, and he's dressed like
Hannibal
Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. And at first you don't see it coming because you're seeing all these dogs, you know, saying, "Hey, Tom, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, fresh meat, blah, blah, blah." And then the camera shifts over, it's like, "Hello, boys." I was like,
It honestly took me a second to realize what it was.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, okay, it's a muzzle. No, that's a hockey mask.
That's a hockey mask.
Oh my gosh.
That is a muzzle. But it's Hannibal Lecter's muzzle. That was a great joke. And if you're going to throw that joke to somebody, it's Droopy.
Uh-huh. It is Droopy.
Some of the
so good.
best Droopy cameos I think I have ever
Yes.
seen.
Oh my gosh.
I wish though we got more Droopy, because we only got those 2 good cameos, and yeah, they use them well, but it's like, he could have been the doorman, maybe.
Could have been, but
that would have made the doorman a little bit more of a interesting character. But
Yeah.
then we wouldn't get these cameos. So
that is true.
anyway, it's just me being pedantic. You got anything else?
No, I actually don't.
Okay, then. Time to get into the problems of this film.
Yes.
And I'm going to start with the first one.
Okay.
I'm not going to go in numerical order, but this is the one that's in my mind mostly.
Okay.
And it should have, and to some degree, it foreshadows the biggest problem the movie has.
All right. Lay into it.
Okay. I hate that stupid pigeon.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I knew that's where you were going.
Yes.
because apparently it's the director doing this.
Yes.
And I'm like,
And it's badly auto-tuned.
yes. Oh my gosh!
And-
The auto tune through this movie is
It's atrocious.
yes.
I suspect that's even the director doing Tom singing in that one scene that Tom's lip syncing to, because it kind of sounds the same. But I have never heard auto-tune this bad.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: when you think auto-tune, of course, T-Pain is one of the first ones to come to mind because he used it liberally.
Yeah.
But he did it for artistic reasons.
Yeah.
His stuff, while I don't like it,
Yeah.
it works
Right.
to some degree for what he's doing. I don't think they knew what they were doing with auto-tune. I think they were just playing with it and put this music to it that feels like they just got it off the shelf and just threw it into the movie. Because none of the music in the movie fits Tom and Jerry, in my opinion. And the licensed music is the worst stuff. I say the licensed music. The quote-unquote songs with the rap songs, let's be honest. I haven't looked at the lyrics, but I suspect they have nothing to do with a cat chasing a mouse.
No, it's
Or a hotel hosting a party, a wedding. I suspect that's the case. I think they just took random New York City I say random New York City, just random rap songs that they felt gave a New York City vibe and just ran with that.
or like you stated something in the theater that it sounded like they literally just took songs from the radio and just plug it in there. And now I understand
that can work.
Yeah,
Don't
it
get me
can
wrong,
work.
That can work, but when if this was a movie that was made in a vacuum, the Tom and Jerry cartoons didn't exist, and this was just something solely original,
Yeah.
I would be fine. But this is a Tom and Jerry,
Yeah.
which means I have to look back at the amazing work done in those Tom and Jerry cartoons, because that music in there fits the manic energy, and we get it's classic Looney Tunes esque orchestral, which is I get it. It's not fashionable right now to have what I consider great orchestral music, but I think not having something like that, especially not even playing maybe the opening Tom and Jerry theme from the cartoons, in there for a little bit, almost detracts. And I always feel like this when you do a licensed movie and they never play the thing's theme song.
Yeah.
It detracts from the movie as a whole, in my opinion, because you're not, it doesn't detract from the movie. You're not paying rightful homage to source material. In my opinion.
Agreed.
But like I said, this leads to my other big problem.
Okay, so before you lead into your second problem, let me just because the pigeons in this movie are annoying. I
got annoyed every time I saw one.
Yeah, because the reaction when our lead narrator pigeon gets slammed.
No, he didn't get slammed. We're sitting there though. get hit by the train,
Get hit
by the train. That would make this
but he doesn't.
all worthwhile if he gets hit by the train that's bringing Tom to New York City. I would let all my feelings about this stupid picture go, because then I could go, you planned for that, you wanted us to hate the character so that we would get a laugh when he got run over by the train.
Yeah.
And that's not what happens. The only time we see anybody get run over by the train was Angel Tom.
That is true.
And that wasn't even an actual train. That was a fake train.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Which was funny. Do not get me wrong.
It would have been funnier if they would have
It was the pigeon.
just laid into it where like they run over the pigeon.
Yes.
But no,
So-
they don't.
Yeah. So getting the pigeon is actually the first part of this, but it is true of nearly every other animated character part that does have a speaking role. There is something wrong with the lip sync on those characters.
Agreed.
It's almost. Here's the thing: it's not a problem with the version of the film we saw. There was nothing wrong in the theater because I know this because all of the dialogue matched up with the live action characters just fine.
Yeah.
But almost every animated character, the audio was just like a touch out of sync, or they weren't even trying to get the mouth movements to.
Yeah.
Not even doing the three flat mouth movements that anime does to make the characters' mouths match their speech. It was just, you could tell, listen to it, this is somebody speaking into a microphone while this image of a pigeon whose mouth happens to be opening and closing is in front of me. That's what it felt like.
Mm.
And the thing is, nobody should ever go into a film and think what it actually is.
Yeah.
Because a good film, a good movie, even a so-so movie, will at least trigger your suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
And this movie does trigger it, but it does not happen until Tom and Jerry are in the park playing the piano and dancing.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen until that point.
Right.
That's my second problem, is that, and this is true of nearly every animated character
That is
speaks. True. Spike does it. The alley cats do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only character I didn't notice it with was Droopy, but that's because he had a muzzle.
So true. So you did mention the fact, be like the animated characters seemed a lot more alive than their live action counterparts.
Yes.
So
because this movie does commit what I consider the largest, most heinous crime a family movie can do. But not just family movie, but it's actually worse. It's more obvious when you have these a 2D live action hybrid movie. Think back to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
okay.
Obviously, there is a difference between the animated characters and the live action characters.
Yes.
We know this.
Yes.
Do you consider the live action characters to be two-dimensional in terms of their depth as characters?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You do?
Are we talking about Tom and Jerry, or are we talking about?
I'm talking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm using this as an example.
Okay.
In Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the live action characters, I can't think of any of their names off the top of my head.
Understood.
But those characters, do they feel two-dimensional to you?
Yes. Be like, no, Christian, they don't feel two-dimensional. Be like, two-dimensional? No.
Yeah. Do the cartoon characters feel two-dimensional in terms of character depth? Are the characters well-rounded? Do they feel like actual living beings? Is what I'm asking.
Yes.
They feel like you could, even though the cartoon characters can't actually do what we see in the movie in real life, people who are like this that, given the circumstance, would pull that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what that movie does, in my opinion, better than I think most movies do, is instead of making the 2D, the live action characters two-dimensional to match the two-dimensionalness of the cartoons, they made the cartoons more three-dimensional to match the live action.
Right.
This movie, Tom and Jerry, does the opposite.
It does.
Tom and Jerry are pretty much the Tom and Jerry we know, but and all the characters, and all the cartoon characters are very two-dimensional, as you would almost expect them in those cartoons to be, while the live action characters are essentially the humans we see in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. That should not happen in a movie that's going to be an hour and 45 minutes long.
Right.
If they really want me to, because I need to care about these characters, especially if they're going to be major characters in the plot.
Yeah.
In a Tom and Jerry cartoon, the humans are not major characters in the plot. They are the reason some stuff happens, but they're not the major characters. Mm-hmm. In this, they are major characters. They are they're 2/3 of the cast.
Right.
And they are as two-dimensional as Tom and Jerry are, except Tom and Jerry at least feel like they've put some work into it to make them feel more fleshed out. But I think part of that is, with Tom and Jerry, we have to read more into their movements. They had to put more work into communicating what's going on through Tom and Jerry's head.
Exactly. Unlike
what they have to do with any of the other animated characters or any of the live action characters, because I feel like they dumbed it down. I guess is really what I'm trying to get to in this long drawn out thing. They dumbed these characters. It really didn't feel like I was watching Tom and Jerry interacting with real people.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I want from a hybrid movie, is I want these cartoon characters to interact in a believable way with real people.
Yeah.
To me, that's the entire point of a hybrid movie. And I can't think out, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the only one I think that actually pulls that off. But I think the reason it's able to pull it off more than others is because it's already in that fantastical noir styling. Mm-hmm. That helps it along immensely. This is just New York that is very dumbed down. New York. This is not how I mean, I don't want people cussing at Tom and Jerry and all this other stuff, but nothing I saw in there was that was believable.
Agreed.
And I know that sounds weird when I'm talking about a movie involving Tom and Jerry that matches the Tom and Jerry cartoon.
Yeah, but it is.
But you have this other set of plot lines in there that, while they do a good job of wrapping everything up, I'm sitting there going, why should I care about Kayla? Why should I care about I can't think of his name.
Terrence,
yes. I was thinking the guy from Ant-Man.
Yeah,
because it is him. And I why should I care about Patrick Warburton? Because I don't remember his character's name. Why should I care about the worst ones? Why should I care about Ben and Peta? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Why should I care about Ben and Peta's wedding?
Yeah,
I didn't. They were more two-dimensional than everybody else was.
Yeah.
And they are the focus of this. It is their wedding that Tom and Jerry's antics are screwing up. Yeah. Even though they themselves are kind of screwing it up themselves. The climax of this movie, when everything comes together, is they're able to get Peta and Ben back together to get this wedding done in a way that's more fitting of what they actually want. Mm. And I'm sitting there going to the end, it's like, yeah, this has to happen because the plot requires it. But I don't care about these people. Mm. I don't care about any of these people. I care about Tom and Jerry, but Tom and Jerry aren't really doing anything to make me believe that they've really changed their ways any. As they're supposed to give you the idea of I don't know why they care about Ben and Peta's wedding.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm still curious why Jerry had his heel turn and gave the ring back. Why does he care about letting Kayla let him stay in the hotel? Because he's afraid the exterminators are going to come? Well, Jerry could do a better job of hiding than that.
That is true. So I do want to bring up one point. I do agree with most of your points. I think the character that we do find ourselves, well, from my perspective, that you do find yourself, caring for the character of Kayla.
Yeah,
be like you do.
She is the person that they put most of the work into.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody else around her is like you said before, almost like two-dimensional character. There's really nothing to them. Be like you have Terrence's ambition to be higher and his fall from grace, and now he wants his revenge. And it's everything about this movie is flat.
Yeah.
It'd be like story-wise, it's flat. It'd be like, yeah, you get great antics and great silliness.
But if you're going to have this other story, you got to integrate it with Tom and Jerry better, and it's got to be a story I care about.
Yeah.
Anytime I watch a movie, I've got to care about the story. I got to care about every part of the story.
Yeah.
You might have a little joke thing, subplot that's going on off to the side that I can, if I don't like, I can ignore.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I should like 75% of the plot. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of this plot. It's like, I know what's going to happen. I mean, what did I say when they showed off the glass atrium?
Oh yeah, that's going
down.
Yeah, that's going to be
they're going to bust that up. I assumed they were going to bust it up at the climax. I was a little off.
Mm-hmm.
They busted it up halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And they didn't even bust it up good.
They just fell from
They fell right in the center. It's like, no, the whole ceiling needs to crash in.
The glass atrium should be completely destroyed.
And good night. This is supposed to be taking place in New York City, right?
Yeah.
Except for a couple of establishing shots, this does not feel like New York City.
Because obviously it's not.
It's not. It's Quebec.
Yeah, it's Quebec, Canada.
And it's like, I forgot until when at the very end when they said, Joy, who honestly I thought was the most fun character in the movie.
Oh,
for a
yeah.
lot.
Wow, yeah.
Says, why don't we just use that garden out across the street?
Oh, you mean Central Park?
You mean Central Park? It's like, oh, you can call it whatever you want. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, this takes place in New York City. I didn't even know this was over by Central Park because I forgot because of how stupid. Well, I mean, the one time every time we're out in front, like when they are delivering the elephants,
yeah,
they do a good job of not allowing the camera to pan across and see Central Park if they're in front of Central Park. It's like, as far as I know, you could be in any city. You didn't have to do it in New York. You could have done this in LA for all the difference it makes. Heck, put it in Quebec. That would be a weird twist.
Yeah. But they, like you said, they never really established. Like, yeah, you had a big establishing shots, be like, oh, they're in New York, but you never really got that New York feel.
Right.
It didn't feel like New York. It felt like Quebec. But
it felt like generic town, which is essentially what most Tom and Jerry cities look. Most towns in a Tom and Jerry cartoon would look like. But to some degree, if I go to a Tom and Jerry movie, I'm a movie that I know is a hybrid film. I'm expecting a little bit more oomph to it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of this style. Mm-hmm. And I'm certainly not a big fan of the movies I'm about to mention. But at least the Smurfs felt like it was in New York City.
Wow.
At least they pulled that part off, right?
Yeah, this movie didn't. So
if I was a New Yorker, I'd be pissed right now.
Yeah. So another point I want to bring up, they padded this movie's runtime.
Yeah, there's a lot. Well, that's the thing. They padded a lot of it, and then they cut short one scene and had that stupid pigeon come back and say, oh, by the way, here's what's happening.
Oh, my gosh. It's like really?
No!
What are you doing?
And the thing is, the padding is the perfect spot for Tom and Jerry antics.
Yeah.
And they don't do that. There's actually not enough Tom and Jerry antics in this movie.
I would agree.
Which to some degree I'm fine with, because if you're going to tell a story with Tom and Jerry doing stuff, you kind of got to, at least bring Tom and Jerry back a little bit.
Yeah.
But most of the story, the thing about the ring is the stupidest thing about this movie. Because why was she wearing the ring in place that she could easily lose it? How did she lose it? When did Jerry get it? Why did Jerry give it back? Why? Honestly, that's the part I understand the least. Why did Jerry give it back? He was already willing to give it back before she said that line about the exterminators. Why did he decide to give it back? Was he afraid it was going to cause a problem? Was he feeling sorry for
stealing
it? Honestly, that might be the biggest issue because that's the thing is Jerry's emotional range in this movie is kind of low.
Yeah.
But it's not low correctly, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It just doesn't feel right. Because I don't believe Jerry wanted to give the ring back. But at the same time, I'm also looking back at all the other stuff, and I'm thinking, Jerry would have never stole the ring in the first place.
Yeah, that made no sense.
The fact that Jerry is going around and stealing stuff doesn't make sense. The only thing Jerry ever steals is cheese.
Yeah.
So him stealing food, you know what? I'll let that slide. But admittedly, in the cartoons, we never see how he built a home before.
Yeah.
His home's already built at the beginning of the cartoon, which I would have been fine with here. And then I wouldn't have to wonder about Jerry's, kleptomania that apparently he has.
Yeah.
And then care about why he stole this ring and why he wants to give it back. I know why he stole the ring. He thought it would he'd make a good chandelier.
Mm-hmm.
But then I still don't know why he gave it back. There's no explanation as to why he would care about PETA or Ben.
Yeah.
The only reason Tom would know anything about this is because he's had to interact with them, and he's got a girlfriend, essentially, that's PETA's cat.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's got an interest there. Jerry
is a mouse.
And he's doing things to be a mouse. They actually did not do a good... They did a disservice to his character in the show, because when Jerry in the show feels bad about stuff, you at least know why. Biggest example I can give is always that Christmas one that I think I talked about 2 years ago when we talked about Christmas shorts.
Yeah.
When at the very end, Jerry felt... Oh, no, it wasn't Jerry. That was Tom. Sorry. But there is a couple times where Tom gets in trouble and Jerry does stuff to make up for it. Mm. And you understand why, because they have a love-hate relationship. Here, I don't know if they really do. They just attack each other one moment and are friends the next. And no apparent explanation as to when this switch happens.
Because the plot demanded it, basically.
And that's the problem. You should never do something because the plot demands it.
Yeah.
There should be an in-universe reason.
Agreed.
Anyway, I've been ranting.
The plot in which is like just didn't make any sense to me. One, they bring up
one thing, the plot would not. They would never stay on the plot for half the movie.
That is true.
The plot, most plots have a 3-act structure. I'm convinced this has a 3-act structure that's more wibbly wobbly, timey wimey than anything else.
That is true. So the core they're trying to say the core story of this movie is this wedding.
Yeah.
And trying to invest in everything in this wedding. And the wedding just feels like it's filler. Be like, you have this amazing hotel. You can do all these shenanigans.
Yeah.
And all your focus goes to this wedding? This one wedding?
You could have so many cameos in this hotel. And they never do a cameo.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I actually think she integrates herself into the hotel pretty well. She has more respect for most of the hotel staff than Terrence does.
Mm.
I mean, Terrence blew Joy off almost immediately. Says and admittedly, Joy can be a little creepy sometimes, but
yeah,
Kayla worked with Joy. Kayla understood how important Joy was to what was going on. Her viewpoint, she was able to work with her,
right?
Use that to her advantage.
Mm.
Of course, part of that's because Terrence is a 2-dimensional character who is obviously the very snooty hotel manager who thought he was, because he was bigger and more posh, he was the most important man in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
You're good. So this wedding between Ben and PETA is the biggest waste of time in this movie. Like, you could be doing so much more with this story. You could be like, I'm not going to go into trying to analyze or try to speculate what they could have done. But with the film they had, they could have very easily done more shenanigans and made this more of a funner film. But this entire, Ben, PETA, who are Instagram stars, apparently.
I couldn't tell why they were famous, other than they were now New York City sweethearts.
Yeah. And here's one other thing that Terrence mentions when he's, touring, he's having Kayla tour the facility. Is like, oh, we've had 4 presidents, we've had queens and kings and like celebrities, but this is the biggest thing we've ever done.
It's like, no, this is just the newest thing you've had.
Yeah,
to do.
this is exactly.
It's what's most prominent in your mind because it's the job you have to do right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they make so many changes to this wedding at essentially the last minute.
Right.
Because this entire movie takes place over the course of at most 3 days.
For the most part.
And in that 3 days, they bring in elephants and animals and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That was apparently not been on the books for the past, I don't know, at least a month.
Yeah.
Literally, I've never planned a wedding, but I've known people who had, and that's like, you don't make that sort of change at the last minute.
Yeah.
When you show up at the venue, you pretty much know what you're going to do as long as something crazy doesn't happen and you've got to make a quick, punt.
Yeah.
This is like, no, we're just going to make this thing wilder and crazier to make the antics when Tom and Jerry inevitably are going to destroy this wedding, because you know they're going to the minute they even announce this wedding is going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
To make it even crazier, and yet somehow it doesn't live up to what we're hoping for.
True.
In a way.
Yeah, true. Just the
especially. Sorry, I'll get back off.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Especially when Terrence lied to both Tom and Jerry.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, I can only bring one of you back to the hotel.
Yeah, just
who will it be? I think it's going to be, and of course he brings Tom in because he's already got Jerry there.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to happen. So like, anyway,
yeah. There's just all these really weird plot threads that we're supposed to care about these 2 lovebirds. We're supposed to care about them. We don't. We're supposed to care for Terrence's flight. That be like now he's been suspended or he's been fired, what have you, and now he wants to get his revenge. And everyone saw him do this, and and Kayla's like, oh, I won't tell anybody. Everybody saw him do it.
Everybody already knows.
Everybody knows what he did,
and yet he does not. First off, the reason he was fired was a bad reason. That should have been Kayla's firing.
Yeah,
I think we can both agree with that.
Agreed.
Because he was actually doing the best he could under those circumstances. So I understand why he wanted revenge.
Yeah.
But the way he went about getting his revenge not only should have resulted in him never being allowed to step foot on the property again, much less return to his role as event coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been arrested and taken off to prison. Do you realize he is the closest thing this movie has to a villain?
Agreed.
And he gets no comeuppance when he should be getting comeuppance.
Yeah, if you think more like a comedy like this, you are going to have, like I said, your main villain is going to get the upcomings. But comeuppance. It should have been this flat out hysterical thing. He's being dragged off or what have you.
Yes.
And Kayla replaces him. But no, he's back to where he was. And like they're trying to be like, oh, everything's nice and fine and all that kind of stuff. Like, what?
Because that's the thing. Everybody in this movie, every character, with the exception of Jerry's rat realtor, got a happy ending in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody. Correction. I stand corrected. Ben got billed twice for the wedding.
During
the after credits scene.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, don't stay for. It's stupid.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It feels like they wrote the episode, wrote the scene, cut it for pacing reasons, and then decided to put it back in.
Yeah. Because be like, this is a spoiler section here. The last scene is quite literally they're back at the first wedding, and they're like It's
No, it's the second wedding.
yeah, but it's not at the park.
Yeah, it is. They're outside.
Okay.
It wasn't inside at the thing. Everyone's clothes were still clean. Because after the first wedding, everyone was, everything was destroyed.
Only problem with that is that Ben is wearing his same clothing he was wearing during the first wedding.
Maybe so. I'm just going off setting because it looked like it was outside. And Terrence was dressed back up as the event coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So I assumed it was in Central Park at the end of where the movie ended.
Yeah, where I'm assuming
maybe they had a costume error. With
maybe
Ben, I don't know.
Yeah, my assumption in this scene is they shot the scene, most likely thought they were going to do the last shot, the conclusion of the movie still within the hotel. So then you be like they set that shot up, but then they reset it in another area. So that's why it doesn't make any sense.
I think it doesn't make any. Here's the thing: even though the sense issue is a problem, even though honestly I think it was still out of the park, just from what I saw.
Okay,
but either way, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's not even a funny scene.
No, it's not.
It's supposed to be. The after credits scene for a movie is supposed to be funny.
Yeah, or leads into something.
Else. This is just, oh yeah, you're getting billed for 2 weddings. We've gone over the numbers. This is going to be crappy for you, man. And
they both walk off.
And they all walk off. It's like, that's not funny.
No, it's not.
It's like, well, that's especially after the cheapest end credits I have ever seen in a movie.
Yes, agreed.
Good night. If you're going to go to that much trouble just to have, they would have been better off with black. This is going to make Paul, the Master Interrupter Powers over on Retro Rewind Podcast, disagree with us. But this movie would have been better off with white text on a black background. You don't know that reference, do you? It's his biggest running joke is he hates white text on a black background.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
This would have been better off with that because we're both sitting there watching this and we both realize at the same time this is obviously just panning down a 2-dimensional image.
Yeah, pretty much.
There was
real no creativity.
There was no creativity. At least do parallax scrolling.
Yeah,
where the background scrolls at a slower speed than the words do to at least give you an interesting image. This was still shots from the movie that the credits were pasted on top of that was slowly scrolling upwards.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I care what that looks like? I know it's credits.
Yeah.
People don't care about credits. I think, but if you're going to have an after credit scene, even if it's a stupid after credit scene,
right,
you should at least give people a reason to look up at the screen instead of looking at their phones as that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, anyway. I think I've about gone through.
Oh, okay.
Everything. So
all right. So
I'll probably still interrupt you, but
all right. So as of right now, the date is the February 28th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So on Rotten Tomatoes right now, this movie was just released this weekend.
Yeah.
It has a its Rotten Tomato score is a 25.
I can see that.
Yeah, its audience score is much different. It's 84 right now.
I would say that's being highly what's the word I'm looking for? I'm curious to see what that looks like a week from now, when the audience that's just going there to keep their kids entertained for an hour and a half, are going to a different movie or something. Because honestly, while I do consider this better than Tom and Jerry the movie, this movie does leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I agree.
At 50, I would understand. Because like I said, the movie's okay. It's not horrible.
Yeah.
It's just there are things that's like, well, this could be better.
Yeah. It's like extreme nitpicks.
Yeah.
At the film. And there are a lot of plots they could have literally just dropped and streamlined the story much better and made it not more digestible but more more suitable for what it is, because it looks like they were trying to take every little thing and make it just, cram everything into the story they could. And I think execution wise, it wasn't very well done. Let's say that.
All right. Do we have anything else to gripe, moan, and complain about? I think we've done a lot of that.
I think so. Other than that, like Drew said, it's okay of a movie. It's not the high of highs, nor is it the bottom of the barrel. There are a lot of movies that it's not incredibly desirable to go watch. But it's going to be a fun, goofy time for kids. And for adults, be like, you might get some humor at it. You might get some, oh my gosh, they use this character. Okay, that's funny. But other than that, it's kind of a disappointment for a film.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a middle of the road movie.
Like I said, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not great. It's not horrible. It's okay. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our reactions to Tom and Jerry. Join us on our next episode, which I don't know exactly which episode is next. I mean, we got 3 episodes of Tangled coming up around this, and then Hercules, I think, at the end of the week.
Yes.
So join us for any of those.
Come, Jacob, we must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast!
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page, where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at GGeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast,
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Heron, where we talk about live-action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L.